As cold weather settles in, cases of pneumonia are on the rise, and experts say some people are at a greater risk than others.
Local hospitals report an increase in the number of hospitalizations due to pneumonia-related complications, especially among people who are older or chronically ill.
Health experts say something as simple as a common cold can quickly develop into pneumonia, affecting the lower respiratory tract, making it hard to breathe. A rattling in the lungs following regular flu symptoms is a key indicator of pneumonia and a sign to visit the doctor. OSF Dr. Syed Zaidi says hot spots include nursing homes, healthcare facilities, and schools.
Start treatment early. Wash your hands, take some steam, incorporate some healthy sleep habits and adequate hydration to keep your body's defense systems well, to be able to help you as opposed to eventually lose out that battle.
Dr. Zaidi also says one of the best ways to protect yourself against pneumonia and other illnesses is to talk to your doctor about which vaccinations are right for you.